Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here, calling from the big island of Hawaii. All right, a few things I want to get out before we get into this too deep. All right, this is my life. It's been my life, my whole life. Everything I'm going to be talking about is the truth that I've proven to myself. And you can do the same. You don't have to accept everybody else's. And there's many ways you can find it nowadays. And you just don't have to go to the library anymore, which I used to do when I was proving things. So let's get with a couple of things that are happening right now. The earthquake chart is crazy. If you follow it like I do, there's more earthquakes in a week than ever in history, and there's more bigger earthquakes than ever in history. I'm talking about the past 100 years. All right, something's going on as well as everything else we're going to be talking about. But I don't know where you are, what religion, what faith, what you believe in, what your goal is in life, what your mission as far as family, children, getting a car, boat, and all those kind of things. But I'll tell you this. I'm not going to tell you you're a rich person. I'm not going to tell you a spiritual person. I'm not going to tell you anything. You got to figure out what kind of person you think you are. Don't let ego run it or control it. That's the most important thing you can learn about this physical world. But who are you? What are you really here for? How many people can answer that? And it's not to do the things I just said. Where are you going to learn the truth? From a UFO conference, a spiritual speaker? Where do you think you can hear any truth? Now, I will debate any person in the speaking world, UFO world, spiritual world, religious world on the truth that they push on people. I'm going to go through a couple of different topics, one at a time. They all relate to each other at some level. So, I mean, if I'm talking about love, it might relate to religion, and everything else will relate to each other little by little. And you'll see it as I go through today. But sit down, make yourself comfortable, hold on to the chair, not too tight, because you might get mad, might get angry, might get frustrated. And the simplest thing, you just might change the channel or turn on a different show or whatever. But if you got the courage to stand through it and listen, you might learn something, or I should say, you will learn something. But that's up to you. Truth is not a pleasurable thing. Hearing the truth isn't going to make things good or better. I mean, if a psychic or somebody tells you you're going to win the lottery or something like that, it sounds good. But if you don't win or anything, what happens? Expectations just disappear. Your dreams disappear. And what are you living life for? Dreams? Fantasies? All right. Now, for me, I mean, this all really started for me when I was 6 years old. I mean, things were going on when I was younger, but I don't want to get into that. But by the time I was 6, the UFO world opened up to me in a great way. I was pulled into it, not voluntarily. I had to. But I'm not going to go through all the little things and big things that I did. This is not about me today. It's not about my friend Tina. It's about you, what you hear, what you believe, what you're going to accept, and what are you going to do. Everything here is the truth, as I can say to the highest level of my awareness and my truth. All right, you don't have to just search for truth yourself, but you should, because if you want the truth, it's out there, it's everywhere. You just have to know how to pull it out of the garbage or out of wherever it's stuck with, because a little bit of truth is always stuck with a bunch of garbage in every aspect of life. Period. All right. Most people love to dream. All right. Uh, I have a lot of incredible dreams lately. Do I write them down anymore? No, but eventually, if you're trying to learn about your dream state and every other state, you should be aware of what they teach you. And they teach you a lot if you listen. You can learn a lot about things that are much more important than going to watch a baseball game, a football game. All right. Uh, the truth might not set you free, but it'll open your eyes to what's really going on, because you're in hell. People, I'm going to say that again. You are in hell. Hell. Forward. It doesn't get worse than this, people. No matter what you hear, no matter who says what. The only thing gets worse if you're stuck in this reality. Because your body and everything could be tortured. Soul can't be. I don't know if people understand that. Like Dante's Inferno, he writes about different levels of hell. Hell is here. And it's got every level. You could be frozen, you could be burnt, you could be chopped up, you could be run over, you could be drowned and tortured, and all the other words go along with it. But here, in this physical body, you can't take your light body, your astral body, and strangle it, beat it, or any of those things. So reality changes completely. There is nothing you can learn on this planet by the things you do here and play with and work with that are going to teach you about the inner worlds. Now, somebody mentioned remote viewing. All right. That goes against the spiritual laws, people, whether you want to hear that or not. George Washington was good at it. I mean, there was a picture in his house in New York City in Harlem. That's where the first headquarters was set up. George Washington fought the wars there on both sides of the East and the West River when the ships came in. But he had pictures of him doing it, and he talks about working with seven angels. He did a lot of stuff. He was at a different level, but he still believed in slaves and other things, which took him down to the lowest level. All right, the first army base in the United States was built in New Jersey, people. In New Jersey. Picatinny Arsenal. All right. George Washington built his headquarters in Harlem. If you go to Harlem, it is probably the worst part of New York City today. But when he was there, all Harlem was horse stables for all the cavalry. Miles, it was like a mile long of the trails to get there and the stables and everything else. But the Gilman Mansion was the oldest house in New York City. I'm talking about a real house. It was a beautiful house. I did a ghost busting for almost 2 years there with one of the top psychics in the United States. I'm not going to go into that. We don't need that kind of information right now. But I'm going to tell you this. From 6 on, I had multiple experiences. I had witnesses with me parts of the time, not all the time, some of the times. So it wasn't just, oh, I was dreaming, I was fantasizing, or I had a bad drug trip. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke, and I don't drink. All right. So from an average state of being normal, whatever that's supposed to mean, I'm going to give you the truth. The truth that you might not want to hear, but you should, because you're living on a planet that is involved with multiple lies coming at you from multiple levels, from multiple people. All right? Government, religion, families, friends, they're all feeding you junk. All right, well, going to church. We're going to start with religion. All right? Now, if you're Christian, you might hang up and leave and do whatever, wherever you are on your telephone, computer. You'll probably just leave because you don't want the truth. All right, if you're an atheist, you might not want to be here either, because both of those words are completely embedded with lies and twisted truth. Oh, wow, how could that be if he doesn't believe in God? Because he doesn't know the truth. People that believe in God don't know the truth because they don't know what God is. So it's contradictory at every level. Now, let's start with the Bible. Who wrote the Bible? How many people wrote the Bible? Well, Moses wrote a lot of the Old Testament. Supposedly he lived how long? Really? Time was different then. He lived a long time. But, if you live 100 years, it seems like a long time now. But if you lived 1,000 years, you see everybody you know dead. All right? And if you want to go through that, that's your problem. Now, I just watched Musk. He was on Bill Maher, and he was talking about that. but he was talking about how AI is going to help us live longer, what people think, and all that. He has a problem, multiple problems. I'm not going to get into all of them. But listen to the way he speaks. His own words show his character, personality, and who he really is. Look into his eyes if you can. Get him to stay still and look into him, or any of that. Right? These multimillionaires have serious problems. All of them, people. Sure, you're going to hate me. I live with a billionaire. I live with multiple millionaires, and they are serious in problems. And the word karma is growing every single second for them. And I'm going to get into it, but I'll explain that a little while. All right, the Ten Commandments were considered the most important laws to live by. They weren't really laws; they were just statements on how to live in those days. Moses made it be like the most important thing for a while. But if you notice, if you have read the Ten Commandments or even know what the 10 are, there's one word missing from the Ten Commandments. Love. Why is that? Because love did not exist, people. I'm going to get into love at the end, but love did not exist then. It didn't exist when the first people were brought to this planet. It didn't. Well, I don't want to go too far backwards. Uh, Atlantis was the first race of people, and there were 9 races. All right, 5 races left that attained awareness to leave. 4 stayed: black, yellow, red, and white, and they stayed here because they were forced to. But they were reprogrammed. They weren't created by the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki is a very twisted story. They're not good aliens. They're not bad aliens. They're just aliens, and they're not human. All right, and they have an agenda like every creature that moves and breathes air. Agenda meaning what they like, what they want, what they feel. All right, and what are they going to do about it? All of it. Build a house, build a car, build a spaceship, whatever. All that's their agenda. Who do they like? Who do they want to marry? Who do they want to beat up? All that's an agenda. And everything has an agenda. Every creature that lives has an agenda. I mean, they're not talking about, well, my agenda is to eat other people or animals or whatever. But when it comes to people, we all have an agenda. But our agenda is created by the programming that our mind gets. Now, most animals learn to survive. They can learn to survive by themselves. Humans cannot. You take a baby out of the womb and put it in the woods, it's going to die in a very short time. It doesn't know how, it can't, it doesn't have the ability to survive. I mean, it was a great story about a wolf taking a baby in and feeding it and all that. A great story. I wish it was real. But getting back to the 10 Commandments, there were only 10. And they're not hard, they're not complicated. There's no evil in any one of them. They were written by a man. So the truth of what they're saying came out of a thought, which was Moses' brain. All right? So it was translated by his thinking. I mean, it's always one part of it. But then again, Moses wasn't satisfied with the 10 Commandments. So he created 613 laws, the most ridiculous laws that existed. And here's another thing, people, if you want to know it or not, he was the highest black magician to live on this planet. Black magician. Black magician means you work with magic and kill. White magician does not kill. Big difference. All right. So in his travels, everything that he did, people died, children died, and you name it. And then the stories written like he wasn't allowed into the promised land. Who wrote that, really? Were they there and they were talking about, oh, I guess you can't come into the promised land? People doesn't, at that time, did not even know what the promised land meant. Realize these are people that have very little scholarship or schooling. They don't know much about anything, really. Fishing, hunting, all right, riding horses, animal raising and things like that, yes. But wording, how much words did they know? Did they know a word God? Did they know the word angel? Did they know what they really meant at any level? Why they always do it? I just got into a debate with somebody, oh, this angel had beautiful wings. Really? You think angels need wings to fly? Coming from a different dimension, you think wings help you fly through it? I mean, all of the ideas. Now, they always drew halos around people in churches and things like that. A gold ring around the top of the head. What did that mean? Do you have a clue? Well, they were supposed to be of the light. And they didn't even understand what that really meant. So, I mean, put wings and a halo on them, and that makes them an angel. It makes them whatever. No, it doesn't. All right. When we talk about the Bible and we go into the Old Testament, is basically Moses' story. The New Testament, Jesus' story. Now, there's a lot of lies in there, and I could go over them all, but I'm sure you don't have the time to. But we will, some future date, not in this one today. But it became Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There were 40 Gospels, and they picked 4. But here's a problem, people. Moses' disciples was limited to a certain number. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, only 2 of them, only 2 were John. 2 of them were Jesus' disciples. The other 2 were evangelists. Look at the word evangelist, what it means. One of them followed Peter, and the other one followed Paul. Paul, if you know, never met Jesus physically. So, you got images and visions and all that going on, and we don't accept them today. So, it's funny how stories get created and accepted, and to this day, some of them are just laughed at. I mean, ghosts, spirits, demons, all of them. Most people laugh, don't believe in it. Well, you believe in death, I hope. And then what happens after death? Nothing. Most people don't know or have a clue what happens at all, for real. Well, I got faith and I'm going to go to heaven. And, I was 14 years old when I went to my minister and I was baptized. I said, what is God? Well, nobody knows what God is. I said, what's heaven? Well, nobody knows. I said, well, what do you do in heaven? Nobody knows what you do in heaven. I said, what do you know? Have faith. Oh, really? Faith in the Superman, Green Hornet, Batman? What? Faith in what? The boogeyman? They don't know what they talk about. And when Moses wrote about God, it was limited to what? Did Moses really explain God at any level? Moses didn't know God that well, or if he really even did. I wasn't with Moses when that was happening, so I couldn't give you that truth. But the interim is what Moses said, and what he did was use magic. There's 32 psychic abilities a spiritual person learns when they go through ascension. When they go through it. Nobody on this planet went through it that I know of. People outside of myself, I'm talking about other people, know that they went through ascension and can prove it. At least to themselves. You know how you prove it to yourself? Go through the 32 psychic abilities. How many of them could you do? Really? I spent from the time I was 14 to the time I was 18 proving psychic abilities were real. But when you play with them, you create karma. In this reality, they create karma, people. They come from the astral plane. When you take something from somewhere else, it's like taking bugs from one place and bringing them to another. They cause hair. Take an animal and bring them somewhere else. It causes problems. Well, mankind wasn't meant to have those abilities. All right? Not the average man. I will say this. In Atlantis, there were spiritual beings. And they could use a psychic ability without interfering in the spiritual laws that they existed within. Or in. All right? Meaning they didn't raise mountains and put bats in them or whatever. They didn't do things like that. They did what they had to when they needed to. Now, when they built the pyramids, aliens were working with people, not gods. But if we go into Hinduism, They were working with deities. Deities are the highest next to God. I call them little gods. They're God of the realm that they're in. And it's usually from the astral plane to the mental plane. All right. Jehovah was a god on the astral plane. Satnam was a god on the astral plane. And people, I don't care what anybody says, you have to learn to go past them to get into the astral plane. I mean, when you're in the astral plane, you're there. And to get past it, you got to go through them. In the story, I met St. Peter and he judged me and he kicked me out and all those kind of things. Well, you get judged by these deities. I call them little gods. Because there's 1,000 deities, but they're not all little gods. A god means you have a role, you stay somewhere, and you do your mission. Kind of like you watch the movie Lucifer, what he had to do, what he was involved with, what his responsibilities were. Deities have responsibilities, which they choose to take. You take on any mission you take, whether it's living on planet Earth and staying here, whatever it is. But is it going to help you unfold to a greater level or awareness? It will not. 99% of every mission that people take are not going to help them understand God, get into the higher realms. Period. There's 2 religions on this planet that teach about that. And in between all the lies, which there are, you learn the techniques that you need. And that's the only thing that's important about any religion. Learning one technique, that's all you need. You just need one technique that can help you move forward. And that means leave the body. And back to the word, remote viewing, astral projection. 2 separate words. Astral projection means you're going into your astral body and traveling. Remote viewing means you're invading space in this reality. I'm going to go in your house and see what they're doing. I'm going to go in the bank and see what the safe is and what the number is, whatever. That's called remote viewing. They did it. George Washington did it. In the Army, they're trained to do it. And they got these people sitting down, drawing and writing what's going to happen, where they're going to go. And it's invading psychic space, which is against the spiritual law. People, mankind doesn't know much about spiritual laws, don't know much about God. So how far can they really go? Not far. They can't go anywhere. All right, there's 12 realms. The 13th realm is where God dwells. All right. And you can go to that realm. God's not like what people say or think it is. It is not a he or she, and it is real. All right. I do talks on that, but I'm not going to do it greatly today because I got too many topics to get through today. I don't know how long I'm going to do the show, but I want to get through my topics at least, no matter what happens. All right. When you go to a dimension, oh, sorry about that. Dimensions are not realms. Each realm, meaning the physical, astral, mental, etheric, and the soul plane, are the first 5 realms. All right. But in each realm, planet Earth has 3 major dimensions. 1, 2, 3. And each one has 3 dimensions in it. And that's where the symbol of 369 comes from. All right. And they have different energies and different forms. But they're all here in this reality, in this realm. When they play with CERN and they think they're going to go to dimensions and put on spacesuits and go into all this other stuff, they're playing in planet reality, of physical reality. All right, they're not going further than that. But again, when you get into the 3rd realm here, 3rd dimension, when you learn in school, I'm sorry to put it all together. First dimension, 2nd dimension is like stick figures, and then you put body around them. 3rd dimension is when it kind of looks 3D. 4th dimension when it is actually 3D. So we created those words for what we created, but it has nothing to do with going into a higher dimension. Oh, I went through this dimension and I went to a porthole. The portholes here on this planet only go to the astral plane, people. Some go around the planet, back and forth here and there, but they don't go to the higher realms of God or any of those things. I don't know how many movies you watched about it and things like that. Most of it's lies. And I could tell you, I was friends with Nick, a couple people, but Al Bielek was one of the only people I know that truly went back in time. And we do have time travel now, greatly. But it's an invasion of time which invades our dimension and invades our reality. One simple thing changes reality completely. When you go back in time, you go forward in time, and you bring something from the future into the past, it changes and cracks that reality. And we do that. And we did. And aliens have been doing it. Now, if you know the word out of place artifact, meaning something that exists that can't exist here. Meaning, for instance, my friend Sergeant 18, well, we're not kind of friends anymore, but when we worked together, he had a rock, and he broke chips off of it, and there was a knife inside it. The knife was made in 18 something. The rock was over 5,000 years old. Impossible for it to be together. All right. So out of place artifacts, and all I say are they are implants from alien races to make us think or change our future, what they want it to be. I mean, Billy Myers said he found Judas's manuscripts, and then the same year they found Judas's manuscripts. All right, and they were translated. Took another year because they were all ashes, and they had to put it all piece by piece together. But I don't get too much of that. But the truth is there in between all these twisted lies. The only one important artifact on this planet, well, I'll say there's two now. I only knew one for a long time, the Shroud of Turin. All right. They said this, they said that, and everything else, but they can't prove how it was actually created. Period. The other thing is, I only found out rather recently, Mary Magdalene, who is the most spiritual person to ever walk this planet, her skull is in a temple in Europe, France. Sorry. But it is considered the most sacred, powerful artifact on the planet. They said if they took it out of there, it could probably heal people. I mean, from death and things like that. But they don't touch it. It stays in there. People go to that temple to get healed and things like that. And the only reason why I'm saying that, I'm aware of all my past lives, people. Back to Atlantis, one time before it, and all the ones after it. Now, we all have hundreds of reincarnations. Well, I know my past reincarnation. Well, that's cool because it's the most powerful and most spiritual you probably ever were, if any. All right? But a lot of times you become spiritual and you screw it up and you go back down. Killing is the worst thing you could do. And I'm not going to go into sex things as well. All right? They destroy your reality. They change your karma. And that means you reincarnate more than you would want to or should have. All right? So when we move forward in time, all right, when we talk about the Bible going through the stage, when Jesus came, it's twisted. All right? And I can tell you, because I was there, I had a psychic I worked with who actually confirmed a lot of the things I said and helped me see things and go through things that I wasn't looking at. I mean, the clothes that I wore and things like that, everything in detail, all of it. Mary Magdalene was my spiritual person, but she was my best friend. I was a female. I watched Jesus get killed, all right? He was killed by a lot of his own people. I don't get into that story right now, but Bible stories are twisted. Everything you learned about Jesus is a partial truth. When he spoke to people, he couldn't tell them about God. He tried to get them to live better than they were. That's all. He couldn't talk to them about words they didn't understand, dimensions and higher realms. They had no clue. They didn't go to school. They didn't have a lot of schooling at all. They couldn't read. They couldn't write. And all the stories written, how many people could write in those days? Out of all Jesus' followers, he only had 2 people that could write. And they sure weren't taking shorthand. And I know they didn't spell quite well. I can't either, but that's besides the point. But in those days, you learned how to set a fishing trap or an animal trap and things like that. How to skin them and cook them and all that. That's what you learned. not how to build submarines and rocket ships or more dangerous weapons. All right, so let's move from that point. Jesus was teaching his followers, and they didn't understand what he was teaching. All right, multiple religions got created. Hinduism was here thanks to Buddha. Well, he took it a step further. Hinduism started a long time ago, and then it split, and the people went to Tibet. All right, now I don't want to go into too many prophecies, but the Hopi people had a prophecy, and so did the Tibetan people, and it was almost 100% the same about the end of the world, the end of what's going to happen if this doesn't happen. And obviously, Tibet was taken over and destroyed by the Chinese. All right, now the Hopi people know what's happening; they're not stupid. Now, I'll get into that when I go into government. Let's skip that for right now. All right, I just want to finish up with the Bible. Now, in the Bible, I don't know if you even read it or any part of it. Most people haven't. Or I read the Lord's Prayer, I read this, the whole Bible from start to finish. Most of the stories are useless, twisted, exaggerated. Jesus never said he was God. Ever. One sentence in the Bible says he said it. Who wrote it? I was there. He never said it. As he was being crucified, he never said it. You know, when you die in breath, it's supposed to be 100% true, whatever you say, and all those kind of things. Jesus' words were, "Why have you forsaken me?" Because he was going through the pain and suffering. And at the time of death, when you're crossing over, your body's going through the withdrawal. I had 5 death experiences. So when you're going through that and you're leaving the body, there's a blackout. And see, a lot of people, when they go into that blackout, go into the astral plane, stay there for a while, get reincarnated back here, and don't remember any of that, which is called karma. All right? But as you're going through death, if you're an aware being, you'll meet whoever you want to, or whoever you're able to meet with. All right? Or where you're going to go. You know, when you learn to travel by yourself, you don't need angels anymore. Angels are to help souls move forward. That's all they do. They don't work miracles for everybody. They teach you how to do what you have to do. No angel is going to make things happen in your life. Now, in religion, most people follow religion. Why? Why do you think people follow Christianity? Because they're protected and they're forgiven. Because, you know, original sin and all those kind of words. You're born into a planet that's sinful. That's original sin. But you move out of it. When you stay here, that's really a bad thing. When you reincarnate over and over, which we do, because we're not given a place or somebody out there that can really help us move forward. I'll bring that when we get into aliens as well. But when that happens, we're not going anywhere. We're worried about karma, we're worried about money, food, and survival. That's what it is here. And then the other word that everybody has to have is happiness. Happy, happy, happy. Really? What's there to be happy about? Well, I just ate a steak sandwich. I just had peanut butter on Swiss cheese. How gross. I mean, everybody's view of what's good and what's bad is different. Never mind in love and sex and every other word. It's different for every single person. So to explain love is ridiculous. Right now, I'm going to get into it later, but people are in a space, well, we got to love somebody, we got to have children. Catholic churches make you say that you're going to have children. My brother was getting married. I had to go talk to the priest. And he goes, well, is your brother going to have children? He's going to have lots of them. I told my brother, you said you don't want any children. Oh, you didn't tell him that. You didn't tell him. That's how bad it is. They're so programmed that they have to follow the rules and regulations. All right. Now, the Bible goes into the New Bible, the New Testament. And that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All right. 2 of them were disciples and 2 of them were evangelists. Now, the 2 that were disciples wrote when Jesus met Lucifer, Satan. Lucifer's not a demon, all right, just so you know. mean, the series was great, but Lucifer wasn't the bad person. But when you go into the Satan, who is Satan? Satan is the one that controls most everything here. Accept it or not. When a child wakes up and goes in the bedroom and stabs somebody or does something to throws the cat out the window, where do you think that comes from? All right. It's past life experience plus bad programming. All right. Children are reflections of what they're programmed to be. Sure, you're pulling things from kids and friends and just being around in the woods and things, you pull other things out, but you're still programmed with the basic fact. Oh, God forgives you. Jesus forgives you. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. Are you forgiven? Can you go out and do something bad and go and say 1,000 Hail Marys and think you're forgiven for what you just did? Here's a simple scenario. You're bad. You feel bad. You go out and speeding around. You go to a bar. You get a little, take a drink, and then you're getting angry, and you pull out a gun and shoot somebody. All right? That's called karma. And who made him do it? And why? Why is it about killing? And a lot now, it's so perverted and twisted. All you hear is children getting shot, children shooting at other children. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the other sex things that are going on with children and everything else. It's pathetically bad, sick, and worse than it has ever been. Considering we have laws, all right? And when there's no laws, it's like you can do things until you learn that it's good or bad. I mean, how do you know something's good or bad until you get the results? Like, oh, there's a fire. Oh, I'm trying to figure out, oh, it burned my hand. Well, you learned. You have to learn things. But here's the other problem. Most people, when they die, forget every single thing they learned in this lifetime. And that's sad because, 99% of the time, every child's still going to have to stick their hand in fire to know that it's hot. Why is that? The words, Jesus had a lot of names. All right, that's true. He did. There was only one Jesus and there's only one God. Jesus never said he was God again. I'll say that over and over. He had 32 psychic abilities, meaning he went through ascension. He didn't have to die. He had to in his own mind, he did. And to bring what he was teaching to the world, he had to die. If Jesus didn't die, what would his teachings be? He died for our sins. That's the first thing would be gone. That wouldn't have happened. What did Jesus? Well, he healed me. Of what? Of all my bad things I did. How do you know that? I mean, all the things that were put on the idea of Jesus and what he did and what he was teaching is all twisted lies. Jesus came to teach techniques. He only taught a few. How to leave the body. All right, people? When Jesus died, how do you think these people met with Jesus? He rose and his body was there and they touched him and he was real and all that. That's all man-created stories on what happened with Jesus. He came back as an astral body to the people. Peter never would have met him if he didn't deal with Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was teaching and he goes, I'm not going to listen to a woman. Finally, he says, well, I'll listen to her. And that's when he met with Jesus. Now, Paul, again, never met Jesus physically. He met him through leaving his body and meeting with him. All right? Even when he brought back the dead, it wasn't like a solid body and he lived happily ever after. They saw his soul leave this physical world. All right? You had to be there to see it, to understand what was really happening. And then again, if you weren't aware, you still wouldn't understand what was really happening. That's why they put wings on every angel and put a halo on them and make them into this flying being that's pure light, pure love, and all that. All the words they give to it, which is not real, people. Angels are real. How big do you think an angel is? Think about it. Did you ever meet an angel? How big was it? What did it teach you? What did it say? All right, I listen to people telling stories, even about past lives and regression, but people that had a death experience still have no clue what actually happened. Realize in the physical body, you got a soul floating around that comes into this body, but the body has a mind in there. And that little mind in this head has its own program. It's like a computer. It's like AI. Really, that's all it is. Artificial intelligence. A baby without any teaching doesn't learn anything, does it? So it's artificial intelligence, which has to deal with, the body and running it, keeping the blood circulating and all the other things. But it's soul that's you, that you really are, that's in that body. But they have to communicate together, and that doesn't happen too common or at any great level. When soul tells you something, you probably hear it, but you don't listen. And there's simple techniques to learn how to listen to soul. I do that. I say that a lot, but I'm not going to say it today. But when you listen to soul versus listen to the mind, you will always be about, I'd say, at least 75% better than if you listen to the mind. Soul can see the past, present, and future within a time frame, a short period of time. The mind can't. So I'll give you a short, simple thing. You're walking with your dog, and you're coming towards the corner. The light's green and it's turning red, and you say, "Should I run across the street?" And the other one says, "No, just wait till the light changes." One of them's real, and one of them isn't. One of them's an AI experience, and the other one's soul speaking. How do you know the difference? Which one do you listen to? Well, I'm gonna think which one's better. You can't think which one's better because you don't know. You have to find out why and how it works. And when you do, it's easy. You listen to the first one all the time, and you listen to the second one all the time, and that's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you know the soul talks to you first, that's the one you always got to listen to. If you know the mind always says something first, and then soul has to step in and say something, then you'll know that you have to listen to soul. It's not complicated. You can learn that in 2 or 3 weeks and know which one you need to listen to. It will save your life all the time. Unless it's karma and you have to leave and all those kind of things. But in general, you're stupid, you're drunk, and you're out there running across the streets. And you're asking for trouble. All right. So again, listening. What do you listen to? All the programming from these new age spiritual people that have no clue about God, death, reincarnation, or any of those words? All right. Now, when you experience, a lot of people nowadays are starting to experience one of their past lives. Now, I'll try to say this. You're the best you are right now. All right? The best you have ever been right now. All right? If you think somebody's moving along spiritually and they became, all right, say you're, I don't know, good people. And it has to be without money. Good people without money. But I'll take, for instance, the opposite. George Washington, Jefferson. Jefferson, where do you think he went when he died? What do you think happened to him when he died? He rode across the southern part of the United States, killing every tribe he could. George Washington gave the orders to free one tribe and gave the orders to kill 2 others. All right. Now, realize there was 50 million Native people killed between the 1400s and now. And I'll get into the government side of that as well if I have time. I don't go too much longer with each one. Trying to get you that foundation of why I'm different than any other speaker you're going to listen to. They don't know nothing about death. They don't know nothing about reincarnation, really. And they know nothing about God. And when you put the word love and God together, you're really in delusional land. If God loved this reality, we wouldn't be killing and murdering and raping and shooting and all the other things we do to each other. If you believe God's love. But it isn't. It doesn't have a body like we do. It doesn't think like we do. Light energy and things like that, it's so different. It's 1,000 times better when you get to that level, but it's not the same. All right. Let me just see where I want to go from here because I'm getting too far. Well, in Christianity, Catholics follow the Pope, one of the biggest liars. most biggest egotistical person, all right, he actually said hell doesn't exist. He said Adam and Eve was a fake story. I'm not going to debate whether it was real or not. It was a story, but not a real story. But for him to change his own religion to fit what he feels is right or wrong, he wants to rewrite 2 of the commandments. All right, you don't change a religion, and when you do, it's spoiled. It's no longer a religion. So the Pope, I know Christians that, I mean, they're slowly turning against the Pope when they realize what he's saying and what he's doing. You know, if you believe, and I'm not, this isn't a racial thing, except if you're a religionist. What it says in the Bible, if you believe in the Bible, you should follow every word of it. If that's your religion, if that's your faith, if that's your truth. I mean, what children do, what they do to children. I mean, I can tell you horrible stories all my life, why I'm who and what I am. I'll say I'm prejudiced because of the things that happen to me over and over and over and over again, not one time. So, you know, when people say, you got no right, I said, I have every right to be. A girl that gets sexually abused has the right to hate men. Period. Because men's mind is twisted, perverted. All men, not just one. Whether they can control it or not, it's the problem that men have to deal with. And most of them can't. All right, back to, okay, Revelations for the Christian people. If you never read the Bible, all of the Bible, I don't want to read Revelations. Don't read the Bible. Read Revelations. It's a short couple chapters. You could read it in 2 days. Slowly, you could read it in 2 days. But you got to understand what's being said. It's all about prophecy. It's all about what's going to happen. But it also says in Revelations, written by John, what sins can't be forgiven. No Christian reads that. Why is that? The most important sentences they need to read, they don't. God forgives. Jesus forgives. No, it doesn't. Man created that out of its own protection for itself. Men stick together. They go against women to protect men. They don't stick together to protect women. They don't. All right. I'm throwing as much as I can at you so you start looking for some truth out there. I mean, there is truth. Whether you decide to look for it, find it, or really deal with it is your choice. And you probably don't want it because it goes against what I believe in. What do you believe in? Do you believe in God? No. Well, yeah, I do. Why? Because it forgives everything I do bad. Really? What if it doesn't forgive you? Do you still love him? Or love it? What do you call God? I say it. It's not male or female, so you can't say he or she. And man accepted he. Women want to make it she. And neither one of them fit it even closely to what it is. All right, I'm not going to go into God yet. If I get to it, we will. All right, now back to Mount Rushmore. That was built over native land. I actually fought 2 natives, a native elder, and that stuff about it. Well, I said, what does it mean? What do you think it means? All right, Mount Rushmore, those people on there were the biggest native killers that existed. To put them on holy ground is a sacrament. It's sad, horrible. Well, that's why they had to put Crazy Horse there. And that's another sad story, which was a past life. I wasn't Crazy Horse. I was with him, but I wasn't Crazy Horse. But he was killed. They put him in prison, in a jail, for 2 weeks when they killed him. Geronimo, they kept as a puppet for 15 years, riding him across the United States as a puppet to be taking pictures with the slave, and with poor, he had lost all his credibility. But that was all thanks to Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull's idea, well, we all surrender and make peace. No, you don't make peace by just surrendering. Surrender means you give over what you have to take on what they're going to give you, which is going to happen to the world, people, within 7 years. All right. And what that's called is UN Agenda 21-30. It's really UN Agenda 30, but it started in 21, just so you know. All right. Find out what it means, what it really means, and what's going to happen, and what is happening from it. All right. We're going to have old people running for president, old people in Congress. They're 80 years old. Oh, well, old people are smarter. No, they're not. Watch the actions of Trump and Biden and what they do and everything else. How aware are they? And are they aware of everything? Of course not. And they're not aware of the most important things. Neither one of them, and I'm telling you straight out, can tell you what are the real problems for the problems with our environment. Neither one knows. Oh, well, they don't know. And nobody talks about it in government. Why is that? Why does the government hide everything that's important? Like they spent $40 billion for the spaceship they're going to release? Do you know we have the biggest submarine on the planet, the biggest ship, biggest airplane on the planet, and they have the most deadliest weapons on them? One plane stays in space all the time. All right. What are they doing? What are they prepared for? For war. That's all anybody prepares for. They don't prepare for peace. They prepare for war. Where's all our money spent? For war. The ship is costing $40 billion. But that's nothing. They spend $720 billion a year. People, a year on the war and space program. Space program is considered war tools. But when they say we don't have money, but they program us to believe all these stupid things. Nobody knows how much gold is in the in the Pentagon or wherever, the mint or any place where they have gold stashed. So that nobody could say how much money we can print. So for them to say we can't print any more money, well, it said Trump printed too much money. Just print it. Nobody can count it. Learn the history of how money was actually created. When all that was used was gold and silver. Why they didn't want to carry gold around? It was too heavy when you had big bills and stuff. But people, do you want the truth? Do you look for it? Do you understand it? Do you want to understand it? What games are you programmed to believe in and accept? We're in hell, and the games will not get better, people. All right? No, they're not doing anything to make anything better. You know, for every sickness they cure, they create 3 more. And that's a fact. Now, no drug they give you, well, there's 2 drugs now that actually cure a disease. It's only $70,000, $1,000 a pill. All right? Really? Well, you want to live, give us all your money. Give us all the company's money. It's pathetic, people, and you're stuck in it and you don't fight it. Well, how can I fight it? I got to pay my bills. I'll be thrown out if I don't. If I don't do this, I'll do that. I'll be this and that. That's why you're put in a place that's only going to get worse. You know how they control people? Food and water. And if you notice, all the water is getting contaminated everywhere. I just watched Musk talking about that. And, well, there's so much water. It's 72% water on the planet. Yeah, well, why don't they filter it and use it? They do in St. Croix. I went there a long time ago. They purify the ocean water. And they have a pipeline going to St. Thomas where they pump that water to as well. And a sign on the bathroom says, the water is 100% perfectly clear, free of any contamination. First thing I did was take a sip, and it was incredible. All right, we have the cures for everything. Really? 2 of the most, I can't say that. I'll be thrown off the air, internet, lose my show completely. Sorry, I can't say it. Talk to me personally, I'll tell you one day. 2 things we have that are cheap. All right. So the government spends all this money, say they don't have the money. We're going to go into bankruptcy. We're going to do this, that, and the other thing. And what are we going to do in the interim? Suffer? and you think it's going to get better. How's that? All right. When you got ego fighting, Putin, Musk, Gates, Biden, government people, rich people, they're all fighting with their ego. They're not fighting with anything else. Not about you and me, or we're going to be able to eat tomorrow, or stay have a roof over our head, or any of those things. No, it's not about that. And I was told a while ago, it's a few people playing chess, 6 people playing chess, and it's who wins and who plays the best. Well, we got to make a strike on a company today. We got to sell a company to cause a stock market crash. We got to do this. We got to create a war. We need money. We need this. We need that. It's a game to those people, and they are called the rich people. I didn't say it before, but I'll say it now because I have to say it every time I do a show. Jesus said it many times. It's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Because it's true. All right? You can't buy your way into heaven. All the money you have will not help you. And all the money you have will only create karma around you. You can give most of it away, or half of it away. If you're not giving a large percentage of it away, it's ego and power, not respect and compassion and the other word, love. No, it's not that. All right. Jesse Ventura exposed more things than anybody else, all these whistleblowers together. He was on TV for 2 years. Every week he exposed something. And they let him stay on the air for 2 years. But the third year, a friend of mine was on his show, killed in a hotel room the day after the show. And Jesse Ventura goes, aren't you afraid of the government? He goes, no, I work for the government. What about me? What about me? Well, you're protected. You've got a high name. You're famous and you're out there mainstream. Well, the next day, 2 days later, he was still in a hotel room. He was found dead. All right. I could go into 16 people that I know personally that were taken out. 2 other people were put in jail. 1 other person was put in a nut house. Still in there. And UFO people should have got him out. I don't know why they didn't. Why they don't care. I was told by government, by FEMA people, you go near them, they'll kill your family, and then they'll kill you. Period. John Ford, he's in Long Island Nut House. He's been in there since 1996. Every year the government comes in and says we have to reevaluate him before we can let him out. He shot the best video of a ship crash that crashed on Long Island. He had a piece of uranium about this big, and he used it to check his Geiger counter before he went out to a sighting or anything, see if it was radioactive. And on the news, in Jersey and New York, man arrested, a barrel of uranium. He was going to put it in toothpaste of Congress people and kill them. Any complete, I couldn't even say the words, would believe that. A barrel would kill the whole city where they are. I mean, and to walk around with it and put it in toothpaste is delusional. But he's in the nut house right now. And he can't get out. And they won't let him out. Why? The video that I saw was shipped around the world to 4 different parts of the world. They only get released if he dies. So guess what? They can't kill him. Even though now, if they put the video out, you're seeing incredible videos out there right now, people. Go on a couple of the different sites. Pull it up. There's so much good stuff. Even if some of them are fake, some of them are real. Instagram. Pull it up. Look at the videos out there. Incredible. It'd take a genius to even create some of them. Check it out. What's going on. But it's going to explode. The government can't hide everything. But as of this year, they're still taking people out. I don't know why. They're not going to be able to do it too much longer. It's going to break. You know the old saying, well, we'll hold on to it until it actually breaks. Stick your finger in the hole, right? In the dam, let it stay there until what? Till your finger falls off. But they're not going to stop it. People around the world have cameras. And other countries are putting things out They're not covering it up. Putin told the United States, and this I'm going to tell you, he talked to Trump on a TV show that he was doing in Russia. And he said it. Trump, I want you to. How did he know it? This was months before he became president. He goes, I want you to tell the world what really happened at 9/11. And nobody knows that. Why is that? Nobody knows the truth. He says, then I want you to tell the world what you're doing with aliens. So what's that mean? He says, we are working with 27 races. He said 2 of them want to destroy the planet. How would you know that? How would you know an alien wants to destroy the planet? Sorry. How would you know that? I can go into all those details. The government's having war with aliens. People, whether you want to hear it, no UFO person's going to tell you the truth. Not one of them. If I die tomorrow, you know why. People need the truth. The people that come out and say, well, I'm going to tell you the truth when they're 80, 90 years old, they're retired, they know they're going to die, they'll come out and say the truth, what they think is the truth. Truth is only important when it's happening. Roswell is a has-been story. And all you hear at every conference is about Roswell. Area 51. Sean David Morton was the first person to bring people out there to watch the mothership come in every Thursday, every second Thursday. They caught him there. That's when they bought all the land around it to make sure nobody else gets there ever again. True story, people. People claim this and that. Roswell, Area 51, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? There's a new Area 51 as well. But, you know, do you want truth? Are you listening for anything I'm saying as, could it be real? Could it be really important? It is, if you care, about this planet. But on the far side, without religion, going into spiritual awareness. You need it to get into the next realms. Without it, you'll be reincarnated. You'll get on the astral plane for about 10 years and come back. How many people even know that? What do you think you're going to be doing on the astral plane for 10 years? Seeing where you could be, and you're not going to be able to stay? Realize you pick an age when you go there. You can't be killed. And you stay one age, whatever age you decide to be. That's what the astral body is all about. But again, you're here right now. Do you even understand that? Why are you here? Am I telling you things to make you just think about the government, the religion? Yes, I am. Because that's where your attention is. If I talk about football, baseball, those people will be just, what? Who's going to win? Who's going to, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? It's only to distract you from the truth. Everything you do, everything going on is a distraction from who and why you're here. Money, biggest distraction. Power, fame, all distraction. To program you to think you're better. And you're not better. Nobody out there is better than anybody else. Oh, I'm going to teach you how to become a fifth dimensional, super spiritual, blah, blah, blah. All these stupid words, they feed you. And people pay the money to hear them. I don't ask for money. I was doing healing work, but I pulled that out. I just said, I don't want to do that. People have to heal themselves to get rid of their karma. Temporary healing is what you get from a psychic healer. They can't remove your karma. If you kill somebody, they can't say, puff the magic dragon I am and blow smoke over you. No. Impossible. That karma is there for you until you pay it back. It's going to take lifetimes because if you kill one person, that's multiple families that might not have been able to be born or come here. So you're changing reality greatly. One little thing can change a big thing. But now, just want to throw a couple more things in. Jesse Ventura exposed the HAARP system, HAARP system. It started in Alaska. But check them out. What they're doing, where it is now, where it is today. We got 2 in Hawaii. All right. He exposed FEMA camps. He went to a FEMA camp. He exposed the New World Order's home base. It's got an 8-foot wall. around the whole building, surrounded by guards, and it wasn't even done when he exposed it. It's directly over the underground city. The entrance is right near it. And people don't care. Why is that? When they released a video of Bush in the New World Order ceremony, Skull and Bones, okay, nobody cared. Oh, well, that was fake. Just, if you don't like something, just say it's fake. We're so programmed, well, most people are, they will never see the truth if it's standing on their, they could be standing on their head or whatever. They're not going to face it. They're not ready to. All right. Now, I did the show for an hour so far. I wanted to get to a couple more things. If you're still here, cool. If not, hope you tune in later, some other time. But the other thing I'll say, send this video to everybody you know. The UFO world's afraid of me, completely. Spiritualists are afraid of me because they can't put their stupid lies against the truth. Truth is God is real, and they don't even know what God is. Their stupid lies of you becoming a better person is a lie. You are what you are. Unless you grow 10 arms, 10 legs, 6 eyes, and become 20 feet tall, you're still who you are. You know better than anybody else. All right. Now, let me just see where I can go from here. Let's go to that other word. All right. And it's called aliens. All right. I mentioned Putin said there's 27 alien races. I used to go to the conferences and friends with a lot of UFO people. They came up with the number 27 races. And 2 of them are bad. I missed Gizmo. 2 of them are trying to destroy the planet. Well, we're warring with them right now. Pull up Phil Snyder's story, a real story, the second most important UFO story there is. The first one has to do with Tesla. I'm not going to go into it in detail now because it's too long and too complicated. All right. People talk about bull. Go to a UFO conference. Oh, we're still trying to prove a UFO is a UFO. I've been trying to get with Lou Elizondo for almost a year and a half. He's afraid to talk to me. I must have wrote him at least 100 letters while he was doing a show, when he was off. He goes, I respect everybody. No, he doesn't. And I don't think he could go against the program truth that he's allowed to release. And he just did a show on cable, and he's just saying, well, I think a lot of them are drones. Drones don't travel at the speed of light. Drones don't do certain maneuvers. Why would they? They're not here to entertain people. I mean, the Skinwalker Ranch, they had, 200 drones go up into the sky, and something was playing with them all. See, people, they're not ready for the truth. Nobody is. The government knows what's going on, and the problem is they know they can't stop it. I gotta get this little guy up there real fast. I'm gonna shut up. Say hello to everybody up there. All right. So now I was close to an alien. I was about 10 feet from an alien. I was about 25 feet from a UFO. I stopped my brother from getting abducted when he was 7 years old, 8 years old, 7, in between there. I was 6. Don't ask me how or why. I just did something. All right. By the time I was 12, there was an alien in our house. My friend was with me. The ship landed on the side of the house. Now, just so you know, something went public in New Jersey when I was young. It was Hudson County Park in North Bergen. A ship landed right smack in the middle of the park. Only for a short period of time. I went fishing there. There was a lake, and I always was fishing there. Ship landed. It took off right away. It broke a lot of the windows. There's giant apartment buildings all around the lake, like a block away and all that. All the windows are shattering and everything. And nobody can deny it. But they never said much more about it. Things get squashed real easy. All right. Somebody threatens your children, threatens you. Oh, well, I'm not going to tell the story. All right. And that's what happens. But a lot of my stuff, my first thing was 6, then 12, then 14. And then it just never stopped. Right now, I deal with a light ship out above my house. And the skinwalker runs, oh, the light's blinking. I said, I got a light that blinked at me 120 times. And I even had it blink Morse code back at me. So, it's not a drone. Why would a drone spend all its time playing with me? All right, and never mind where it travels, where it can move from one side of the sky to the other side in a split second and just stop there. A drone can't do that. Lozando claims all this stuff, but he can't tell the truth either. Now, when Coast to Coast was on with the original Art Bell, he'd have people go, well, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. Why? Because the government said they'll kill him if he does. It's that simple. You're allowed to say certain things. My brother had all this information because I can't tell you. He told me a couple of things. Well, it's 25 years later. I can tell you something. Because I was saying, you're spiritual. You didn't do anything bad. He goes, oh, yes, I did. So, we know when things are bad or good. We can justify what we do. But are you ready to become spiritual? Are you looking for an awareness in your life to change what happens when you die? Well, that's a long way away. No, it could happen tomorrow. And you don't have a clue. And it's like stepping into a jungle in the middle of Africa in one of the worst weathers and storm and everything else. What are you going to do? Die? When you go to the astral plane, if you die, what do you think's going to happen? You don't know anything. You don't know about transportation or how to get around, who to talk to, what to do. Do you got to go eat? You got to buy clothes? What do you got to do there? Do you even have a clue? No. People, there's so much that you don't know, and you still accept it as fact. Again, when Putin said to Trump, I want you to tell the world about aliens. Why would he say that before Trump was elected? Why would he say that before Trump was elected? How do I know this? How do I know Russian? I was with my friend who spoke Russian really good, and he was translating as he was speaking. And that was, I'd say, I think it was 4 months before Trump got elected. Well, maybe 3. I'm not sure. But nobody cared. Nobody cares about the truth. Tell a great story about abduction. Now, all the famous UFO stories, Travis Walton, Fire in the Sky, well, he doesn't know what happened. He knows very little. And he put out a movie, just did a 2-hour special again and all that. The person I do my show with on Tuesday, all right, Tina Bird, she's in England. She has more proof, more evidence, and more things happen to her than anybody else in the UFO world. And who knows what's going to happen. She's really sick. She's radioactive, people, and nobody believes it. I'm not going to get into that. Watch my show, Tuesday, 9, 10, 11, 12 p.m. California time on YouTube. It's on. I put it on Skype. I put it on Facebook. I put it on Twitter. If you friend me, Hawksblood1, you'll get that site. Otherwise, go onto YouTube, friend me, and you can pull up the show. People, I don't do this for fame. I don't do it for fortune. I pay to do the show. All right? Why am I paying to teach people anything? Because I care what happens. The least I can do is give something back while I'm here. I'm not going to be here very long. I'm 70. All right? I don't want to live long. Why? I don't want to live in hell that much longer. The next realms, higher realms are incredible. Beautiful. You don't deal with any of the junk you deal with here. Love's different. I don't want to go into the UFO world because that's a sad place. It's a bunch of lies. Everything you hear is lies. They're here. They eat humans. They take humans and take their body parts and do everything the same as sick people on planet Earth do as well. But I just want to skip over to the last word before I leave today. Love. Move this out of the way. What is love? What do you think love is, people? What a horrible statement. Mount Rushmore represents the victory over the savages. What a horrible statement. All right, people, we're the savages, not the native people. Just so you know. Ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Love is a word created Why? Jesus didn't teach love. You can't teach love, people. No matter what you think, say, I'm going to take love as a class and learn about love. Really? It's twisted, perverted now. What are you going to learn? Three people, four people in bed, or whatever. What are you going to learn about love? How much of a commitment do you make? I'll tell you one thing. If you're falling in love with somebody and really love them and want to stay with them, both of you have to give 100%. And they say love is a 60-40 thing. If it's 60-40, it'll never last. Ever. There'll be a lie in there and everything else. It's not going to last. Both people have to be willing to give 100%. And that doesn't happen. Most relationships end in a short period of time. 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Then you see people 40 years old getting divorced. They couldn't work it out in that long a period of time. And they're talking about love. Now, what is love really to people? They have no clue. Oh, I love them. And I said, what do you love about? Well, they smell good. They feel good. They hug me. They tell me I'm beautiful. Is that what love's about? Well, I say kissing's a feeling. Yes, it is. Well, sex is a feeling too. Stimulation, yeah. Well, Hinduism was based on sex. All right, not love. Love was created after Jesus was killed. But disciples saw how much Jesus loved Mary Magdalene. He married her people, had a daughter people. He was dead when she was born. Mary Magdalene had to leave the country, which she did. She had 32 psychic abilities, the same as Jesus did. All right. The facts are there, whether you want to know it or not. But again, Thomas was the only other person that escaped. He went to India, teaching Jesus' teachings. That's why they say, oh, Jesus went to India too. No, he didn't. All right, people. Love is a lie. How much do you love a person? Can you give 100% to a relationship? All right. We can say controlled by aliens, which a lot of people are in some way, some strange way. Are we aliens? Talk about hybrids and all these other words. The government did it. They're doing it. I didn't actually see them. A friend I work with was working inside Piccadilly Arsenal where they created them. Super beings, super warriors, whatever you want to call them. But they were about 8 feet tall. Red eyes. You name it. Who knows what else they can actually do. But the lab in the Piccadilly Arsenal was the most outrageous lab in the United States. Right before I left, which was 25 years ago, they spent millions of dollars rebuilding it, and then they said they were closing it down, which they didn't. That's also when they said they closed the HARP system down, which they didn't. The lies they feed us and what they tell us hide the truth. So when you go to a UFO conference, I mean, if I made 50 cents off everybody went to a UFO conference, I'd be a millionaire. But these people would lose, what, $3,000-$4,000 to go to a conference for 4 days. To hear what? Oh, UFOs are real. Well, if you don't know that by now, you got problems. I wrote a book, a manual, how to see UFO. If you want a manual, field manual, how to see UFOs, text me, hawksblood1AOL.com. I'll send you it for free. There's simple techniques you need to know if you really want to see UFOs daily, nightly. You get down. Go on. Get down there. Go on. So, we create an expectation what we want out of life, what we think is right, and all that. That's all it is. It's not the truth. And, when people talk about government and aliens and everything else, it has nothing to do with them. Sure, you're living in hell, and you got to play the game. You can also leave, too, just so you know. I'm not talking about suicide. I went through every aspect. I had 5 death experiences. All right. When you leave the body, you'll find out there's nothing more incredible than that. The astral plane is incredible compared to here. You can't kill people on the astral plane, which you can do here. You can't create that kind of karma on the astral plane. So it takes a long time to move forward from there because you're so impressed with everything. You can eat as long as you want, as much as you want, do whatever you want, float around, whatever. It's quite a step in unfoldment when you get there. Like nothing you could imagine on this planet. So why would you want to stay here? Well, I'm attached to my family. I'm attached to the cars, trees, sports, whatever I want. You really attach to it, and it will bring you back. These speakers that say they're going to heal you, make you fifth dimensional beings, and you're going to become your true self. You are what you are, people. You're not going to change into a butterfly from a caterpillar. You wish. All right? You will be this until you let go of this body. And then your soul will be a lot different, depending how much you enlighten it and grow within it. But that's all up to you, people. I gave you a bunch of stuff today, relating a couple different things, and they all relate to each other. All of them. They all affect each other. So who do you want to listen to? I'm not saying listen to me. I'm saying find the truth. Don't listen to these speakers. Don't listen to whistleblowers. It's always a half truth that you get from them. And it's a perception of one person's view of a thing, whatever it is. 10 people see something. They all will describe it differently. Well, it was a big ball of light. Well, we all agree on that. Oh, no, it wasn't that bright. Well, it doesn't matter. Because basically everything you're perceiving is keeping you from moving forward. There's a couple simple techniques you need to work with and have the ability to do it, create the time to do it, and don't go outside your bounds. I mean, don't do 10 hours or try to do 10 hours every time. Or do a lot of different things. Just do it for 20 minutes until something happens. But once you know it's real, you're never going to want to stop. All right, people. I hope you got something out of today. All right. Tommy Hawksblood. I'm just going to put my link up there in case you didn't hear me. I also got Truth in God Only. All right. But that's my main one. I'm staying all day, half of the night. Till next time, people. All right. Tell your family, tell your friends you're going to learn the truth. You're going to fight for it. Well, tell yourself that at least. And do it. All right. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the big island of Hawaii. Hope you got something. If not, I'm sorry. I did the best I can today. And I always keep trying. Till next time. Oh, I hope you like that song.
Raise my eyes to the wild blue yonder. I can't believe what I see, and it makes me makes me wonder what's falling down on me. The sky, the sky, the sky's falling. The sky, the sky, the sky's falling. The sky's falling. Sky is falling.